Hey guys, it's me, Cyrus. How's it going? Well, I just watched a really interesting video from Mike's Gaming Gala. Very strong opinions. He had a lot to say about his thoughts about the current state of Intellivision Homebrew and the future and the possibility of a crash coming, this sort of thing. And I had some thoughts I wanted to add to that. First of all, I want to just thank Mike for trying to have an honest, open dialogue. I fully admit that there's a lot of times that I have some opinions that I don't want to talk about because I feel like it's going to upset people. And it has upset people before. I mean, I've had friends of mine get upset with me about some criticisms that I've had or concerns that I've had about certain things in the past. And it has made me a little gun shy about being as open as I would like to be. One of the reasons that I feel that anxiety is because I'm not, I will tell you this straight up. I have been terrified that I would upset people to the point to where they stopped wanting to deal with me. And I love Intellivision and I love these homebrew games, and some of these things are so amazing, it's unbelievable. And it has been terrifying thinking that somebody might be so pissed at me because I said something that they decided to withhold games from me or kick me out of maybe not necessarily kick me out of a group, but stop dealing with me. And I don't want to be ostracized or blackballed by any group of people, especially not people that have very similar interests to me and love, this console and the games like I do. So I feel the anxiety. I could feel it in Mike's video that he made. He had the same kind of like trepidation, like there was like this like dread in what he was saying. And I feel that, and we shouldn't feel like that. If we should be an open community who can talk to each other about things. So the first thing I'll say is a criticism of Mike. How dare you talk crap about Buck Rogers, sir? This aggression will not stand, man. But in all seriousness, his concern about a possible crash, meaning he's concerned about the publishing crash, about people not wanting to continue doing this thing, this homebrew thing. And I get that because the audience for this software is limited. And unless something is done, that audience is just going to get more and more limited. There might be some people come on board here and there. Like I came on board just a few years ago. I'm sort of a latecomer to the Intellivision homebrew scene. And there's a few people like me that are still going to come and show up, but not as many as people that are leaving and dying off, to be honest. So there's something that needs to be done to expand the audience of homebrew Intellivision stuff, and I think all Intellivision stuff. And there's a huge potential for that to happen now that Atari has taken control of Intellivision. The old school Intellivision and the name Intellivision. There's a huge potential for homebrew people, homebrew publishers, developers, to talk with Atari and figure out something to start bringing this software into a centralized marketplace. And I've said this many times. People don't want to hear this. Everybody wants to do their own thing and have their own website and their own way of doing stuff. And I get that. But that's not how you grow a community. You don't grow a community by dividing things up and making it impossible to find stuff. And Mike knows that I've harped on this for a long time. You've got to make it easy to get. You've got to make it easy to find. You've got to make it easy to buy, right? And the solution to that is, yes, a unified marketplace, which needs to happen. And with Atari now at the helm, there's a real possibility that something like that could happen. Okay? But that's not the only option. There are other ways that this thing could be unified, or at least made more accessible. That's the goal, to make it more accessible. Okay, maybe we don't unify. Maybe we can't all get along. Maybe we can't figure out a unified marketplace. But there's a really great emulator out there that Mike talked about. And if there's a way to support that emulator commercially, like my buddy John makes Retro Bro. He's making NES games through a program called NES Maker. And that program allows him to create a distributable, I'll get the word right, version of his game that will work on an actual NES or on a computer. And even like he's even got his game listed on Steam, okay? And it runs just like any other game runs without the need of some extra software or something, because it's all integrated. The emulator is integrated. And if a solution like that could be developed for these developers to be able to just integrate this emulator into their software and put it out on Steam, hey, there's another way you're going to grow your audience. Because I guarantee you, I've heard this mentioned before from some frustrated developers for Intellivision stuff. They say, oh, there's only like 60 people that want to buy Intellivision games or something like that. Well, there doesn't have to be. There's people that would definitely buy this stuff if you marketed it and made it available and made it easy to buy, and just say, hey, this is an Intellivision game, and here it is being released on Steam. Yeah, you might be like, well, why are people going to want to buy these games when there's like, millions of games or whatever on Steam, and these games are Intellivision, the graphics aren't as good as this and this and this and whatever. It's all in how you present it, man. There's so many people that buy Atari games or Sega Genesis re-releases or whatever on Steam. They buy that stuff because it's marketed as that thing. And if you market this stuff as modern Intellivision Homebrew release or whatever, put it out there on Steam, I guarantee you there's people that will buy it. And all of us will buy it again just to have that version of it. You got to start thinking about other ways to do things than just the one way or the way you're most comfortable, the way you've been doing it. There are other solutions. There are ways that you can make money and you can get your game out there, and you can do it in a way that protects your assets, and you can do it in a way that's consumer oriented, okay? And Mike's totally right. This nonsense of limited release stuff that never gets put out as a ROM, I don't even understand why you do that. I'll just say this, I find that to be the most aggravating thing that I've seen in the homebrew community, is these limited release things that end up getting, like, I see them listed for hundreds of dollars for an Intellivision game or an Atari game or whatever. And I'm like, the ROM's not even available. Can't even buy it. Couldn't buy it if you wanted it. Couldn't buy it if you tried. No way to get it. Don't come crying to me about a game homebrew industry crash when you're not making your stuff available for people to buy, and you're openly advocating and promoting a practice which is anti-consumer and actually hurts the community. Because those people that buy those games, and Mike was right, they're not buying those games to play those games. You might as well not even put the game in the box. Just seal the box and sell them a sealed box with a little bit of rock in it or something to where it feels like there's something in there, because they're never going to open it anyway. What difference does it make? Why fix your ROM that has bugs if nobody's even going to play the game in the first place? So, yeah, make your ROMs available. This limited crap is nonsense. It needs to stop. There needs to be a unified marketplace, or there needs to at least be practices, something set up with these guys who work on this emulator to figure out how to get that to be a system that homebrew developers can take advantage of to create commercial versions of their games. This needs to happen, guys. I understand everybody, oh, emulators, commercial emulators, that's terrible. Not if it expands the homebrew community. Not if it makes more games available to us. Not if it creates new interests. Not if it keeps the crash from happening. Come on. Like there are ways this can be done. Okay? We can figure this out. Another thing that I think is important, and this is where things go down a little bit here. Some people will probably not like what I have to say here. We need to be more honest about licensing, okay? If you're gonna make a new version of a existing IP that's owned by a major company, let's just say, for example, Nintendo. If you're going to put a Nintendo license on on Intellivision as a homebrew game and claim it as your software, then you really don't have a lot of room to talk about there being problems with like people, there not being enough people in the community buying your software, because you've made it really difficult for people to, you're not going to be able to market that properly. You're not going to be able to put something like that on a unified marketplace. You're not going to be able, that's going to cause problems for everybody by doing that kind of stuff. And I see way too much of that stuff. As much as I think it's cool and would like to play these games, like, I see a game that I love on the NES and it comes out on the Intellivision and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Homebrew awesomeness on the Intellivision. I love playing that. Let's be honest. The practice of just taking an IP that doesn't belong to you and using it for something and making money on that and not being willing to, pay for what you're using. You don't own that game. You don't own those assets. You don't own that IP. You don't have a right to do that. And, if you're thinking that you're going to push that right along with all the other homebrew stuff that is from people that have really put a lot of hard work and actually paid for the licensing if they had to, that's not helpful either, right? So there needs to be more transparency and honesty about this entire process. And maybe that's one of the reasons why nobody can get along and figure out how to unify things, because people are not willing to do that. People want their cake and eat it too. So if the crash is going to come, it's going to be because of selfishness. It's going to be because people wanted what they wanted the way they wanted it and didn't want to compromise and didn't want to do anything any other way and didn't want to listen and then wanted to play the victim when things didn't work out their way. And I think we're better than that. And I think everybody that I've met and talked to and had conversations with that is involved in the homebrew scene or involved in this, Intellivision stuff that's being brought out and enjoyed and shared right now, everybody that I've met, I think wants things to work out for everybody. They want the best. And there is a new excitement with things happening because of what Atari's done. And I think this is the best time and maybe the last chance, maybe the last opportunity for the Intellivision community and for Intellivision games, new Intellivision games, homebrew games, to get the recognition they deserve and the widespread audience, at least a bigger audience. There's a lot of opportunities right now if people are willing to do the right things and step up. And unfortunately, like I said, when I make statements like this, I know it's probably not gonna make everybody happy, and it's probably there's there's the risk that I upset people and they stop dealing with me, and I understand. And I'm gonna tell you this. I know all this stuff to be true as far as like what needs to be done, as far as limiting unlicensed stuff, trying to make things more legitimate. I know that that's what needs to happen, but I'm buying I'm buying games that I'm kind of a hypocrite. Sure. Yeah. But I'm a consumer, I'm not a developer, I'm not a publisher, Sell me legit stuff. Make it, you guys have a responsibility. And maybe consumers have some responsibility in this too, but guys, own what you're doing. Own the work that you're putting into something. Just because, and also just because you put a crap ton of work into something, that doesn't make it legitimate. That doesn't mean that you're okay for doing something. Anyway, I probably said too much. But thank you, Mike, for putting out your video. I thought it was really good. It brings up some good questions and concerns. It's something that we need to do more. We need to have a more honest and open discussion about things with less fear about, like, am I going to upset somebody? Is this going to hurt me in some way? Am I causing myself to get ostracized or blackballed or whatever? I think it's good to have open conversations about things. I'm not saying we're all going to figure everything out right away. I'm not saying there's some easy solution or some catch-all or some silver bullet that's going to fix things. But I do think if you think about it and if you look at what's going on, there is a real chance that something better can come out from everything that's happening. There's an opportunity to make these games more available, make them more commercial, make it more worth your while as a developer and as a publisher. There are opportunities for partnerships if you just think about it and try and give a little and be willing to do things a different way than what you thought you might have to do them. Okay, that's enough. Thanks for watching. More videos coming soon, and enjoy your Intellivision. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.